became a career firefighter with the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Services, chief of the medical division, or EMS, the unofficial historian of the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Services. Over 65,000 digital images and newspaper articles, magazine articles, etc. Episode 24-24. This is a continuation of historical photos of the Howard County area. The last podcast was of Elkridge proper, where we looked at some pictures, some 50-year-old to 100-and-some-year-old images of the Elkridge area. Well, actually, with this podcast, we'll actually be continuing with the Elkridge area. However, we'll be specifically looking at several different areas, unique areas of Elkridge. This particular broadcast today is going to be featuring the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. This was a historical bridge along the B&O Railroad as it transversed from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore and crossing the Patapsco River near Elkridge, Maryland. It was constructed in 1835 and made history that still stands today, in that it is the oldest stone multi-arched railroad bridge, and arced meaning it is curved in the world. It is the largest railroad bridge made of stone that has multiple arches and is arced, meaning it curves as it crosses the Patapsco River. The first image that we're looking at is from the Howard County side of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, and you can see that in the upper left-hand corner. The grade crossing below is in Elkridge, and if you look on the opposite side of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, you'll see the Viaduct Hotel, which in itself was infamous back in the late 1800s. It's just another feature of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, this time taken from the Baltimore County side. On the far side of the bridge is the Hockley grist mill that we had discussed earlier in the previous podcast talking about Elkridge. You can see the chute from the railroad track that went down into the grist mill itself, where they offloaded the grain from the railroad tracks, slid it down the slide there and into the mill where it was processed. This is just a discussion of the dimensions of the bridge. It was known as a basket handle when it came to the design of the bridge. And again, what was unique about this is that the arch itself was just held in place by the stones itself. Once that was put in place, the compression of the stone just kept the entire bridge in place. There's no bolts, there's no anything that is keeping the bridge intact. It's just the weight of the stones and the compression of the stones. Back in the day, they felt that this was folly, that this was not going to work. And yet, almost 200 years later, the bridge is still intact and is carrying multiple freight trains, etc., across it today. So it's lived the test of time. Just another image showing the steam locomotive coming across the viaduct, coming from Howard County into Baltimore County, getting ready to pull up to the Relay train station. That'll be just to the left of this image. A modern passenger train that they stopped on the bridge to take some pictures. It was a wind splitter design. Totally don't know what that means, but it was a novel design back in the day. Apparently never really caught on, but it was a unique design. And as you can see, they stopped and folks are posing for the camera as this train sat on top of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. I can certainly see that the young lady at the very back of the train is wearing a rather unique and I guess a fashionable hat from back in the day. Just another image of the relay station, and just a modern diesel engine is passing by. By this time that this was taken, the train station itself was no longer functional, but it was still quite an image to see a modern diesel engine passing by. Again, just another image taken in the 1860s, showing the bridge itself, the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. And in the lower right-hand corner was an access road that crossed the Patapsco River from the Baltimore County side, which is the closest to us, crossed the bridge and into the Howard County side of the Patapsco River. Again, just the picture showing the bridge itself, the Viaduct Hotel, and the railroad crossing that is no longer there. That crossing was removed years ago and was replaced by Levering Avenue, which went underneath the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. Again, just a picture looking at the Viaduct Bridge itself, looking from Baltimore County over into Howard County. We're on the train platform for the Viaduct Hotel. As you can see on the right-hand side, back in the day, and this is image was taken around 1920. There is a walkway that individuals could safely walk from Howard County to Baltimore County and Baltimore County and back. That footbridge is no longer there, and citizens are really forbidden from trying to cross the bridge on the tracks themselves. We had several fatal incidents where people were struck by a train trying to cross the tracks, cross the bridge without the safety of that walkway. Again, looking at the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, this is on the Howard County side. If you look at the other side of the bridge, once again, you can see the Viaduct Hotel. On the lower right-hand side, that particular space right there, there was obviously a business that was building telephones. This had to be around the turn of the century. There will be other pictures that you will see here, and also we probably saw in the Elk Ridge feature of different buildings that occupied that particular space. The Hockley grist mill occupied the space, and that was eventually torn down, and this is torn down to make space for the grist mill, and/or the grist mill was torn down to make way for the telephone building. Levering Avenue, the current Levering Avenue, actually runs basically right beside the building that's marked telephone, and then around the corner and underneath the Viaduct Bridge itself. Just throwing in there a picture of the Viaduct Hotel, looking at it on the Baltimore County side. It was built in 1873 and was decommissioned in 1938. It's actually demolished in 1950. This was on the historical landmark. The monument is still there today, marking the location. But the building itself is no longer there. Again, just another picture showing the hotel and the monument and the grounds. Apparently it was quite a nice place to go for a meal. People coming from Baltimore would reach this point. This is where the spur of the B&O, the main track, went to Washington, D.C. The spur went along the Patapsco River, actually to the left of this picture, and went to Ellicott City and other points along the Patapsco River to Mount Airy, and then ultimately to Point of Rocks, and then to Western Maryland. So individuals that were traveling could stay here the night, get a meal, could stay the night, and then catch the train the next day. The bridge was intact and in place during the Civil War, during the 1860s. It was a strategic location, meaning that this was the bridge that allowed rail traffic to go from Baltimore to Washington and points beyond. So it has strategic importance, and to that end, the Union Army kept a detachment there the entire war to make sure that the bridge itself was not tampered with or destroyed. And we can see on the Baltimore County side, caissons that were positioned to ward off any attack by Confederates that might have wanted to damage or destroy the bridge. Just another image showing the bridge and a road that came from Baltimore County, that's nearest us, crossed the river and then allowed access to Baltimore County. Again, just an image showing several buggies fording the river adjacent to the Viaduct Bridge back in the day. Apparently the character was known as Ophelia. I guess it was a character popular back in the day, crossing the Patapsco River on the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. Obviously it looks like a rather colorful character as it is chugging along as a steam engine, and it's chugging along and I guess making people happy. Just another image showing the Viaduct Hotel in the back and the train locomotive, steam locomotive coming across the bridge. As I said earlier, an arched bridge, a curved bridge coming from Baltimore County and heading into Howard County and points south. As you can see, steam locomotives were the mode of transportation back in the day and were not only popular, but the only mode of transportation for rail traffic. This is an image from upriver. We're looking at the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. You can tell the arc or the curve in the bridge. We are upstream from the bridge, and this image is taken on the Baltimore County side. You can see a buggy. Two individuals were apparently enjoying the day alongside the Patapsco River. These are back in the day, back in 1939. These were two modern locomotives that had stopped on the Thomas Viaduct Bridge for a picture to be taken. Apparently, these engines, style engines, were quite the rage back in the 30s. An image, again, of the Viaduct Hotel. You can see the Thomas Viaduct Bridge itself going from Baltimore County into Howard County. You can distinctly see the curve in the bridge, which made it very unique and a very unique design of the time. And it is still considered today a unique design that has withstood the test of time. Again, on the far side of the bridge, again, you can see the Hockley grist mill with the chute that would offload grain into the mill, and then the product would be taken away. In fact, you can see the road that would have picked up the product, the grain, and driven off, either coming towards us out to probably Route 1, and or you can see the bridge, the far side of the bridge where Levering Avenue would have gone underneath the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. This is just showing a cut where rock was cut away to make room for the train. Also in this image, this is taken around 1860. It looks like the date is actually May 25th, 1861, where Union Army troops are in the area, ready to defend the bridge itself should there be an attack. The next image is going to show you where this cut actually is. If you look on this particular image at the far side of the bridge, you can see where the cut is there. You can see the open face of the hillside where the cut of the previous picture was, where they had, I guess, used dynamite or whatever to open up that particular hillside and allow the train to pass through. Again, just another image of the bridge itself. You can see the arc in the bridge, the curve of the bridge, and below you can see a small bridge going over a stream or whatever that would be allowing traffic to pass over. This image was taken around 1911. Again, this image taken in 1925 is just showing the steam locomotive that is passing over the bridge, heading from Baltimore, heading to Washington, D.C. Again, just another picture of some of the, quote, modern trains back in the day to streamline steam engines, steam locomotives. This image taken in 1939 with the two trains sitting on top of the bridge itself. And it's obviously a demonstration of the ability of the bridge and the design of the bridge to hold, tons and tons and tons of weight with little or no difficulty. Again, the bridge itself, on the far side is the Viaduct Hotel, and below is Levering Avenue, which is now going underneath the viaduct. Several young men, children fishing upstream from the bridge. Not sure how good the fishing was back then. It had been very good. And obviously these two young lads, almost in the shadow of the bridge, are enjoying the day fishing. An older image, I just don't have the date, but you can also see, again, the stonework of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, and there is apparently a road that has been constructed at the base of the bridge to allow traffic, pedestrian and probably horse and wagon traffic, to pass from one side to the other. And yet again, just another picture of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge with a road that's allowing wagons, etc., to cross over the Patapsco River. We're looking from Baltimore County into Howard County for this particular picture. This appears that it was taken prior to the Great Flood that devastated the Patapsco River Valley. Again, just back to the picture of the railroad crossing back in the day, in the 1860s, with the Hockley grist mill in operation, and over in the distance, the Viaduct Hotel. 1935 image of, again, the Thomas Viaduct Bridge with apparently people picnicking and enjoying the day down below the bridge, and actually you can see several individuals up on the bridge, watching them or just looking at the view that it provided up on the bridge. Just a drawing of the Great Stone Viaduct at the Washington Junction is the headline there. Baltimore County would have been on the right, and you can see the monument, and Howard County would have been on the left. Just a picture in 1862 at the relay station, which was just on the Baltimore County side of the Thomas Viaduct Bridge, just showing soldiers waiting at the station, relay station, to be provided transportation either north towards Baltimore or south towards Washington, D.C. Picture again just of the bridge, the curve, and a wooden bridge crossing a small stream. Again, the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. And on the far side, which is Howard County, the Hockley grist mill is present. And you can again see the covered shaft that allow the grain to come down a slide into the mill and be processed. A posed picture of Union soldiers and more than likely Union officers posing up against the Thomas Viaduct Bridge. And the reason I say they're officers is because of the swords that they are carrying. Typically, an enlisted man did not carry those sabers or swords. Sabers, I guess, is a proper term. But this is taken back in the 1860s when the Union Army was protecting this very vital structure during the Civil War. Please use your remaining heartbeats wisely and not waste a single precious one.